Okay, it looks like we're all in. So I'd like to welcome you all to the webinar. Thank you very much for bearing with us there. We had a few technical difficulties in getting the platform going, but everything's worked out well now. So yes, here we are. And welcome to the launch of the Fujitsu Image Scanners Organisational Intelligence Research Report 2020. My name is Steve Chad, and I'm the Customer Engagement Manager here at PFU EMEA Limited. And as we work through today's session, you will be able to send in any questions you might have using the chat function, so please do so. We'll answer what we can, but in the event that we can't get around to them all or we're not able to respond to them during the webinar, your questions will have been logged in the system, so we will be able to come back to you on them individually very shortly afterwards. And at the end of the session, there will be an opportunity for you to get a copy of the report. So here we go. Let's move into the webinar, how information capture is enabling digital transformation success. There we go. Right, so first up, what is organizational intelligence? Well, this is the agenda for today. And it'll take us through understanding what organizational intelligence actually is, both in terms of what it means and its relevance to our end user audience, but also to us as a community in terms of the research that PFU EMEA Limited have conducted and how it helps us all to improve the value that we can provide to our end user customers. So during the course of this webinar, we'll take a look at those definitions, but also we'll take a good in-depth look at the story and a lot of the data and key findings from the report itself, the key elements and things that you'll find in the report and what they mean. And then we'll round up by taking a look at how we can utilize organizational intelligence in terms of the assets, activities, and the ways that we can utilize them in our day-to-day sales activities. So, what exactly do we mean by organizational intelligence? Well, as a definition, we have defined it as the capacity of an organization to derive maximum value from the information it has access to. Simple as that. And the way that organizational intelligence can be achieved is by creating flexible knowledge pathways that add value at every stage to every employee in an organization, and which deliver the insights that allows the organization to strategically adapt to its environment or marketplace. Okay, so that's just the definition in its purest essence. But in terms of what organizational intelligence means to us, well, it's both a concept and a body of knowledge that aims to highlight the ambitions behind digital transformation journeys, and it allows end users to look critically at their own organization, focusing on the triggers that underpin activity and can allow them to get moving, also on the challenges and risks that they may need to mitigate against. And it also showcases how other organizations are finding ways to achieve digital transformation success using information capture. Okay, this body of knowledge is based upon a research study that we've undertaken here at PFU EMEA Limited, and it is manifest in the form of the Fujitsu Image Scanners Organisational Intelligence Research Report 2020. The report also introduces the concept of organisational intelligence and examines how digital transformation, if done well, can actually increase it. It also highlights how taking an organisational intelligence approach is an underlying factor in how digital transformation efforts can themselves be enhanced to deliver not only operational efficiency, but also to deliver strategic advantage. And further than that, as we've said, it's also a framework that gives us a reason to elevate our conversations about capture solutions from talking about specifications and price to actually creating business value. So based upon the findings of the research and what you'll find in the report, we've developed a model and a story that allows you to show how an organizational intelligence perspective does just that. It marries the strategic opportunity with the operational opportunity that digital transformation can deliver if done in a good way. It also helps us to demonstrate how information capture is a key part of digital transformation efforts. And of course, it also highlights the importance of our expertise as part of the Fujitsu information capture community in helping organizations to reach their true potential from successful deployments. Furthermore, it will allow us to speak from a position of authority and adopt a thought leadership-led consultative sales approach. Why is this important? Well, as I'm sure we're all aware, joining a project late on in the sales cycle usually means that the perceived problem or opportunity that drives the project has probably already been defined by somebody else, whether it's a competitor or simply the end user themselves. And this limits the scope of the value that we're able to offer. Much of our potential value could center around asking the right types of questions during the early project stages that define what happens later. It also limits the differentiation that we can position between solutions, different solutions, and Fujitsu solutions versus others, and it frequently results in having to simply compete on price, not on value. And we don't really want to go there if we can avoid it. But if we can engage with end users much earlier on in their conversation, we have much more chance of being able to talk through and explore the business value of deploying technology with them before the exact technology itself has been defined. Okay. So by asking the right questions, we can ensure the foundations for their eventual choice are sound, and that tactical operational gains are also aligned with business objectives, higher strategic business objectives. Perhaps even being able to help the end users to quantify, or if not, at very least, qualify the strategic business value that doing things in a particular way with a Fujitsu solution might bring. And of course, this can help their internal selling efforts in the process. If we can do this, then we put ourselves in a good position to become trusted advisors who they will return to when they're all ready for future deployments. So, and in addition to this, by utilizing and sharing the findings in the report, we can begin to provide insight and value upfront at the top of the sales funnel to those potential customers who are just starting to consider such projects. This will help to establish us as subject matter experts from a thought leadership position, and we're more likely to be remembered in their minds in this regard. And at the very least, providing a regular inflow of insights and material that stimulates conversation, we can invite those people who respond to engage in further discussion, so lead generation there. So let's take a look at the research itself. PFU EMEA Limited commissioned this, the research that underpins the report. So we commissioned it, and it was conducted by leading research company B2B International. The researchers spoke to over 1,200 IT and business decision makers from across Europe. And based upon the findings, the research report examines, as we said, how digital transformation is increasing organizational intelligence and enabling business level transformation. By drawing on this research, we aim to highlight those ambitions behind journeys of the triggers that underpin digital transformation activity, the risks and the challenges, as well as showcasing how organizations are actually already achieving success with information capture. Okay. And this is what the report looks like. We will see this a little later on. But just going back a step, as those of you who attended ICC8 may recall, we went through an earlier phase. So the report is based upon end user interviews and research, but we had a preliminary stage where we actually looked and talked to key members of our channel community to get a view on how they see digital transformation with their engagement with end users. And from this research, we found that the people that you see in this grid are the most important decision makers when it comes to digital transformation project decisions. So as we can see here, of course, senior management are usually the ones to sign off on any investment at the end, but also key to the process are IT and general managers as well as finance and procurement managers. Typically, these are the people who research the context and evaluate the options of any proposals drawn up. The functional specialists in particular departments will also have some input, possibly as subject matter experts, but they are mainly secondary decision makers. They're more likely to be consulted on specific points. So as we can see from the middle highlighted box, it's these most dominant decision makers who own the project and typically have to build the justifications that can be comfortably accepted by everyone else in the decision-making process. They are, for us, the key people that we should be marketing to in order to be able to establish value. So if we look at the types of role that each of these people fulfill, on the right-hand side, you'll see a column that describes catalysts, seekers, endorsers. These are different key types of role that are often fulfilled by these types of people within organizations. So as we can see, you could, in reality, describe any of these people as having the potential to be catalysts. But when it comes to digital transformation, senior management or general IT management in particular are typically the people who will recognize problems or opportunities and initiate the buying process or a project that aims to resolve or make a particular change. So they're often at the start of a project, but seekers are usually the researchers responsible for drawing up a shortlist of potential options. They need to seek out and understand the dynamics and the context of the change, the potential technologies, and how they might fit. So of course, it's critical to our sales process for us to be in the game at this point here. And furthermore, the endorsers, as we've seen, they will engage the seeker to give guidance on the options or the shortlists that the seekers are considering for their proposal. So once again, being perceived by these people as a key player is also important here too, ensuring that we can get green lights on any stages of the decision-making process. So in summary of elevating the conversation, it's all about being invited early on to help us define the problem or opportunity, exploring our end users' own context and helping them to define the value both operationally, but also in terms of what longer term or strategic value a Fujitsu scanning solution might be able to support. And this is the sort of conversation that can help us have to fight purely on price. Of course, we can objectively guide their choices to this end, increasing the chances that they can realize as much value from their deployment as possible. And the end goal, of course, is to hopefully be invited back as a trusted advisor for future deployments. And actually, from the Organisational Intelligence report, you will soon see that there are many opportunities to initiate those business level conversations, which begin a lot earlier than typically the technology conversations which happen later on as we move through the sales cycle. So we've had a look through where the research came from. It's been conducted during the last few months, and it helps us see how modern organizations are currently viewing digital transformation and their progress towards it. And the reason for us doing this, we wanted to create that greater insight into the drivers behind digital change and be able to better identify where our potential clients could benefit from our support. And as we see shortly, there are challenges that respondents are facing that we will all probably recognize. We will see just how those challenges are impacting the respondents and also how they're finding ways to deal with them through helping themselves become better prepared for the journey. Currently, these are the stages that we're going to go through, the key sections of the report. It's currently available in English, and it will be available in localized versions for French, German, Italian, and Spanish languages next week from the respective language variants of the Fujitsu.com Organisational Intelligence webpage. And within the report, the key sections are all about looking at organisational intelligence at the beginning, but then exploring what the key drivers are. We also offer up a chance for the reader to quickly ascertain where they are in the digital transformation process. And we've created a three-stage maturity matrix where people can have a quick look and get a feel for whereabouts they are and also where they may need to go. We'll also be looking at the role of capture in digital transformation and how it's actually an enabler, as well as the challenges and impacts that our end user organizations are facing, what other people are doing, and how to lay solid foundations so that they can get capture right. So starting off, when we talk about organizational intelligence within the report, we found within the report that organizations, essentially, we know that they're fueled by data and information, and they involve large numbers of people interacting with diverse systems. And it's this complexity which requires a new perspective on digital transformation, one that moves away from the outdated view of organizations as collections of different departments, products, processes, employees, very much siloed areas of an organization, which each have their own knowledge base, and instead views them as a single interconnected system of flexible knowledge pathways that can be designed to allow data to become a readily accessible source of competitive advantage, both tactically by improving operational efficiency and also strategically by providing the insights that can also lead to strategic advantage. And by increasing organizational intelligence, as we, just to remind ourselves, the capacity of any organization to derive maximum value from the data it has access to, if we can do this, then digital transformation can actually support business transformation with the potential to define new business models, revolutionize customer experience, and potentially disrupt markets themselves, or even, in extreme cases, create whole new markets if you get the right types of insight. And so it's with this in mind that we might begin by asking the question of our end users, how intelligent is your organization? So every organization, of course, will have their own nuanced answer to this. And there's always a range of factors that will impact the maturity of their progress. This could range from an understanding of what needs to change within an organization, an appreciation of how technology can be used now to enhance current operations, or taking a view of any future plans that they have in place to achieve true advantage and differentiation. So because of this complexity and the impracticality of comparing the individual nature of very unique organizations, some simplification of the topic was necessary. And it's with this in mind that we developed this simple three-stage matrix that enables organizations to get an at-a-glance idea of where they are in terms of their digital transformation journeys and help them to progress towards increasing their organizational intelligence and potentially transforming their business. Looking at the matrix, we've classified them into three stages of maturity, and hopefully it makes it easy for the reader to see where they are now. If we look at the matrix, we'll begin to understand the maturity of any organization in this respect. And as we've said, by understanding where we are, we will have a better idea of where we need to go next. So this, or if you look at the stages here, we can read it quite comfortably left to right, as in begin here, then progress to here, and then end up here, on the right-hand side, business transformation. But I like to utilize it by telling the story from right to left, because it's quite an exciting place to begin when you look at what is ultimately possible here. And I suppose if you do digital transformation well, the ultimate goal could be a position where business transformation can occur, supported by a natural culture of knowledge creation and sharing that permeates every single employee and layer of the organization. What we're talking is a real collaborative effort that enables innovative insights, sound decision making, that gives competitive advantage that is swift but also hard to replicate. And of course, developing a system that fuels the intellectual capital of the organization and connecting multiple teams and sites and increasing ability to problem solve has other virtuous knock-on effects within the organization, such as enhancing company culture and also improving employee engagement. But to get here, you will probably have to pass through the knowledge transformation stage. So this is where the processes and the culture that support stage 3 are developed. Recognizing and exploring what's possible with the help of new digital technologies, data can be pre-processed, analyzed, and structured in order to build smarter, more agile work processes, freeing up time and mental capital to focus on higher value areas, such as gaining the insights that can lead us to that business transformation stage. And to have a chance of knowledge transformation, we may find that we're actually, as an organization, at the first stage, what we call here at PFUE, first step transformation. And it's okay to be here, somebody will be. There's many people who are. It's okay to be here, but the key thing is, as long as you don't stay here, then you will be able to make progress and won't get left behind. So awareness is really the key to recognizing where you are, learning about digital transformation and how it can open the door to laying the foundations for things like more efficient workflows, while setting up the possibility of being able to move to stage 2 because you've maximized data accessibility across the organization. So essentially, it's that first step of getting your arms around identifying the data you have and putting it into a common digital format that allows you to begin to utilize digital enablement technologies that can impact immediately at an operational level and later also at a strategic one. And some further questions that can help to shed more light on where an end user organization may be include the following. We could be asking, how do you approach communication? It may be useful to consider whether individuals and groups are exchanging information on the basis of need, as opposed to need to know. Are there specific methods of communication in place that facilitate easy communication with both relevant internal and external stakeholders? We could be asking, how does their company create value? Do individuals focus solely on their own roles, or do they have a key understanding of areas beyond their immediate area of expertise? Do they have a key understanding of customer profiles and demographics? How does your organization create value by catering to the needs of those customers? We can look at how people within organizations access the information they need to be able to perform their function. Are they currently using information or image capture? We can question whether individuals can access relevant information quickly in a defined way without needing to seek authorization manually at each step. And finally, we could ask, how do they feel that their business environment is changing? It's highly likely that organizations, most of them, are continuing to face challenging and very certainly at the moment uncertain times. So established and defined ways of working may, at one time have delivered, may now have become inefficient, and tactics for assessing competitors or understanding the impact of market changes may no longer be the right solution. Things may need to adapt. So the question here that comes out of this is, how flexible and agile to change is your business? And having access to the right information when required, at the time of need, is key to being able to adjust tactics and adapt to changes in the marketplace and actually become more agile. So in terms of how end users are discovering the right path, it's important at this stage, the very early stage, to understand what the core business drivers are for most organizations. These act, if you like, as a guiding North Star for whatever actions are taken. So we asked this in the report. What was the single biggest end goal for your digital transformation efforts? And for more than 50% of organizations, the end goal was company growth or remaining competitive. Interestingly, big data exploitation as an end goal featured particularly heavily in Germany, and we'll be seeing a little bit more about the significance of that later. And to further define your customer's overarching goal and help uncover their specific path for digital transformation, you may also want to question other ways in which their organization can benefit from having well-organized information. Where quantifiable data is unavailable, a qualified justification can often be sufficient to add further weight to decisions to go ahead with projects. You may want to ask if they feel they have unnecessarily complex processes, in an ideal world, how they think they could better engage with clients or share knowledge more efficiently, or whether that or not they feel that slow decisions are costing them money. But from the report, here are the responses with, as we can see, improved productivity and faster, simpler, more cost-effective processes taking the top spots there, closely followed by the opportunity to save time and effort sharing information, improving utilization of human resources, or simply increasing customer satisfaction. And we also took a look within the report at the flip side, how our respondents viewed the way that they manage their information. For businesses at the start of their digital transformation journey, information management appears to be a pivotal hurdle to overcome. Businesses across Europe are grappling with this challenge daily, with 93% of organizations in France reporting that they struggle to manage the amount of information in their organization. And interestingly, do you remember how we just seen that there was a particular focus on exploiting big data in Germany? Well, perhaps then it's no surprise that only 78% of German organizations see managing the amount of information within their organization as a challenge. This is significantly lower than any of the other countries and far lower than in France. In fact, much lower than in France, but nevertheless, 78%, it's still quite high. So why is it so problematic? Well, perhaps the answer lies in the problems that manifest due to the way organizations currently organize their information. The report shows us that when staff don't have key information easily to hand and can't share it, cross-organizational efficiencies increase. HR departments struggle, customers receive a poor service, and errors occur. It would seem to support the notion that information management, and whether or not it enables easy, flexible access to data, impacts all levels of an organization. The bottom line is ineffective information management means lost money, whether that's in terms of revenue, opportunity, higher direct costs, or simply those higher hidden costs of quality. As we can see here, poor processes, inefficient workflows, and information management issues are nothing new. Business managers, business leaders face these challenges every day, but for too many, the status quo remains. So for those who do seek change, we asked what is the trigger that starts digital transformation? And we know that internal operational issues will always be a factor, and often it's these that hold businesses back. But as you can see, key triggers for starting digital transformation efforts right at the top are improving productivity, reducing or increasing long-term cost effectiveness, and increasing sales and profitability. We're also still in that top bracket of responses with over 41% agreeing the need to process more data. As we've seen in Germany, there are lots of organizations who are focused already on the amount of information that they have and the glaring need for them to be able to process it in more effective ways. But these are, as we can see, excellent transformation triggers, reasons to take action on specific projects, and knowing this can often help us to look for these types of opportunities within our end users when we're talking to them about practical ways to actually begin the journey. As we know, at the start of any digital transformation or indeed any significant change initiative, consultation with employees and staff is essential. When they begin to understand the need and the capabilities of digital transformation, the opportunity to address other business challenges may come to light. And in fact, by analysing how the different demographics within an organisation respond and react to challenges, the choices and the priorities that underpin the transformation process itself can be better defined. So automation of business processes can begin from this point. And in the data here, we can see that digital transformation and investing in technology are at or near the top of the list as challenges for most demographic groups. And interestingly, for most of these categories, Generation X, and I'm part of Generation X myself, are apparently more likely to see these issues as a challenge than any of the other groups. So some interesting data coming out there. And from this consultation question also comes an understanding of the varying perspectives and mindsets in terms of slicing or segmenting the responses from the point of view of different roles within an organization. As we can see, where there's friction between different areas of an organization, the inefficiencies, complexities, and lack of structure can be compounded. So if we look at the same question by role, we can also see that for people involved in digital transformation efforts to some degree, the same issues are again near the top as we saw in the previous questions segmentation. Investing in technology for innovation, reducing costs, and digital transformation itself, they view as key challenges for them in the business. However, perception of key challenges for those not involved in digital transformation varies significantly from those who are involved in it. And what this tells us is that it suggests wider business issues need to be considered when attempting to gain buy-in from groups who aren't necessarily part of the digital transformation change effort, but may be impacted by it. Okay. Too often, especially in change initiatives, it is buy-in and outlook and attitudes that hold progress back in certain areas. But if we look overall at the barriers to come out of the research, there's likely to be a range of common digital transformation barriers which all have an ongoing impact. These can include a lack of internal skills and resources, maybe a limited understanding, as we've seen, of the overarching goals of what digital transformation can or is trying to achieve, or even little idea of where to begin the digital transformation journey. So if we take a look at a few specific ones that came out in the research, in terms of the generation gap, older generations, some can be sometimes used to retaining paper copies of documentation. I think in the past we've described systems that were built and managed by, say, older generations as people who are paper comfortable or paper comfy, okay, because it's the norm, it's the way things normally happen, and it's the comfort zone. Change represents newness and potential threat. So very often these groups can be a little bit reluctant to alter the status quo, which can result in a reluctance to shift towards digitalization in various ways. But we also identified, our respondents acknowledged that they have a lack of knowledge within their business frequently. In many instances, they're either underprepared or they lack expert knowledge, resulting in a reluctance to change due to the limited understanding of whether it's the opportunities that digitalizations can bring or even where they should begin. They see it as a huge and potentially vague and amorphous challenge that is maybe putting them off even starting the journey. If we look at approval and validation, sometimes challenges arise in the way that people view signatures and the acceptability over security, or the widespread acceptance of electronic signatures as being valid forms of enabling stakeholders to sign off on documents. And also there's regulation factors. Many sectors, including financial and legal, require paper trails, which can impact the ability of organizations to digitalize process and go paperless. Okay? At least that's their perception. And finally, there's the question of investment upfront. The process of becoming digitalized often requires some investment in terms of hardware, software, and expertise. The perception can be that this may be a significant investment if they are considering digitization alongside other digital tools. So it's essential to have the right IT guidance to specify the right type of technology to achieve the goals desired, but also recognize where there's opportunities to get moving quickly without too much of an upfront investment, and actually gain some traction and allow the journey to not just begin, but gain the momentum that helps it keep moving. So Another thing to come out of the research was that education at all levels of the business is essential to be able to address these issues. And often we found that it needs to come, or it is coming, from third parties, external parties outside of the organization itself. And in fact, the findings show that while 27% of organizations admit to lacking the skills to digitally transform, 80% of businesses who are digitally transforming are already turning to external experts to educate their teams and to support them along that journey. By the way, there will be a recording of this. There's a lot of statistics here. You'll see them within the report, but we will be posting a recording of this webinar onto our channel portal next week. So as soon as those localized versions and this recording is available, and then we will drop you all a message so that you can go and review at your leisure into the future. So having recognized that there are many challenges of different types, what we also found from the research was that through a detailed analysis of business operations and clearly defining the objectives that underpin digital transformation, there are two key enablers that seem to be coming out again and again. Highlighting potential risks and mitigating them is essential. Ensuring a clear plan and digital transformation roadmap is essential. And whilst, in order to do this, whilst the unique nature of each organization does demand an individual approach, what we found was that empowering organizations with the right education and knowledge about the skills and knowledge that they will need in the first place, but also about the right type of technology to achieve their goals, of course, is key. Many organizations have admitted they either lack one or both knowledge of each, and the solution is to work with partners who have them. And as we said, 80% of organizations are choosing to engage external experts to help them really be better customers in terms of the decision-making process, gaining the awareness and gaining the understanding right at the start of that process so that they can better define the end result and the whole journey works in a much more effective way. And here's a bit of a look at some of the industry leaders that responded have said that they would consult. So as you can see here, we can see the types of industry leaders that they are talking to and how many people are currently talking to them out of our respondents, and the types of information or knowledge that organizations are talking to them about or requiring from them. Okay, so in terms of looking at education, we know that education and development of new skills is being outsourced to industry leaders. It's the essentially it's the experience that we have that we can provide to end user organizations, because we've been through the process before. This is what we do on a daily basis, and we're able to help them ask the right sorts of questions in order to fully evaluate their current situation at the early stages. Also considering not just the domain knowledge, but also ensuring the process knowledge of how to move through a robust evaluation procedure and process to make sure that the key stages have been considered and key questions have not been overlooked. And on the next page, we have a few more different types of industry leaders that people are talking to. And of course, from our point of view, once we've evaluated those questions and the business goals and the questions of how organizations are currently and how they want to in the future manage and utilize their knowledge, comes the need to identify the tools, the systems and the essential technology that can help them get there, and also understanding of how and where it should be used and how it should be deployed. So while certain technologies such as the cloud have been fairly universally adopted across many organizations, there are still many other practical, achievable first steps that can be taken, such as information capture. And pretty much all companies can take this step to help them lay the foundations that will, as we've seen, help them optimize knowledge transformation and be able to take on the journey towards full disruptive business transformation. Okay, so if we take the example of those German organizations at the sort of like far end of the spectrum in terms of information management and the focus on it, they are leading the way in big data exploration and advanced analytics, as we can see from earlier in the report, but they are also ahead when it comes to taking the essential first steps in terms of optimizing their knowledge transformation. Okay. Specifically, they have an average 9% higher current usage of scanning than their other European counterparts, using information capture as a means of helping them to manage their information. This is a core way. The digital transformation may result in big data exploration, but it must begin with certain essential steps. So the German companies in the report seem to have a clear recognition of those initial technologies that are going to help them aid those early stages of digital transformation. So we could pose the question, perhaps is this why they view information management as being less challenging, because they're already taking the right foundational steps? As we can see here, Germany might be leading the way as early adopters, but the role of scanning and information capture management is already widely acknowledged and appreciated by companies across each of the European countries that we surveyed. And in fact, close to half of the organizations here make use of a scanner as an enabler for digital transformation and view it as the starting point for long-term company efficiency and growth. And this is a great confirmation of information capture's place in that bigger digital transformation picture. In order to be able to utilize data for business transformation, we must first be able to easily access and analyze it. And for that, it needs to be digitized in order to take advantage of the digital technologies on offer. Capture is essentially the on-ramp to digital transformation. And we have here a number of direct quotes that you'll find in the survey. These come from respondents across EMEA, and the quotes highlight how, for them, capture is not only a key enabler in streamlining their processes, but it's a foundational element of building systems that facilitate new ways of working and new ways of thinking, and actually helping them to build business models that can impact the experience of clients, staff, suppliers, and in fact, pretty much all interested parties of the company. I'll give you a moment to finish reading off those. There we go. And when it comes to selecting a supplier of scanning and image capture solutions, while a quarter of businesses are looking for innovative solutions, which will ultimately help them drive better management of information across their organization, product quality stands out as by far and away the top of mind issue when making these decisions. So that's great news for us, something I think we can certainly make very good use of when we're in our conversations of understanding what is likely to be key top of mind issue in positioning our value. So to round off the report, when you see it, you'll see that we've created a potted set of key steps that can help increase our end users' chances of digital transformation success. They don't necessarily have to be followed in strict order, but if you do these at the start of any journey or the next phase of it, then they'll stand a much better chance of getting it right, allowing and enabling their journey to continue. Okay, so early step, it would make sense to align digital transformation vision with the mission and strategy of the organization itself. So really, what this is doing is providing the authority to begin and continue the journey, helping to overcome obstacles and distractions, as well as supporting change management efforts that might be required. It may also be useful to question at the beginning what the vision of the later stages of the digital transformation journey is. Where do they want their organization to get to? Because that may shape the stages that they move through in even their initial foundational evaluation of technology. So laying solid foundations for future stages, as we've seen, scanning and information capture is a logical first step of the digital transformation journey, and it allows for use of even more advanced IT and analytical solutions. So it's important for them to always hold the end in mind and question how any technology deployed now will need to support future stages. Another stage, very important stage, is identifying operational and process efficiency quick wins that helps to deliver fast results and support the ongoing journey. So, as we know, reduction of paper processes is a great way of making business processes leaner, reducing costs and creating a more productive workforce. And the key thing to bear in mind here, as we saw in the triggers section, is that operational projects are a really manageable, achievable, and practical way to add momentum to a digital transformation journey. Scanning and information capture enables faster, more flexible movement of data, which, as we know, is a necessity for improved organizational intelligence. At any stage along the way, we need to be thinking of the future. Digital transformation is not just about changing that physical process. Again, if done with a future vision in mind, it can open new doors for new ways of thinking and being able to future-proof their business, from product innovation through to revolutionizing customer service. It can be more environmentally friendly, reducing the amount of paper used, and so we should aim to seek out the strategic insights from the journey that can deliver competitive advantage in business transformation. How could the new possibilities discovered enhance the business model or even disrupt the whole industry? That's when you're getting towards the how can we utilize our data to gain insights to drive solid business transformational decisions. And of course, key stage here, and potentially might even be number one really, is finding partners with the required solution, domain knowledge, and also deployment process knowledge and expertise. Okay, so our domain, of course, information management. The key thing here is that end users will, once they understand what they don't know, they will be pleased to utilize our experience to make sure that they're asking those right questions related to their situation early on, identifying specific journey requirements, then finding the technology that fits them. As we've said, there's no strict order here before taking action, but if we can, we may want to position ourselves as early on as we can in the process, because that way we can better define all of these early steps that helps that whole journey to be built upon much more solid ground. And finally, in the application stage, when things are being deployed, some degree of reflection may be useful to look at how things are going and apply the learnings and leverage any improvements made to be able to accelerate that digital transformation journey. So in terms of assets, articles, and activities that we produced, well, we have the report. It's available on the Fujitsu.com website. We'll see the web URL in a moment. As right now, you can download the English version. In fact, you'll all get a copy of the English version at the end today. Here, you'll be able to download it from a pop-up in the webinar. If otherwise, you can direct other people to the Fujitsu.com URL where they'll be able to download it, and users can download it as well. And from next week, it will also be available in French, German, Italian, and Spanish. We, of course, have our press releases and clippings from the press coverage that we're generating today and moving forwards. We are producing an infographic that tells a distilled version of the key findings from the report and the stages of organizational intelligence allowing digital transformation to become business transformation. So that will be available next week, and very shortly, within the next week or two, it should be available in all those languages too. We'll be posting regular articles on LinkedIn for the foreseeable few months. Over the next year, you'll see a stream of articles coming out on different angles and different points that you can see from within the report and other areas of the research. We've also got some independent commentary that is coming from several industry influencers that have reviewed the reports already. So they'll be posting their views in the next few days. Michael Ziegler, John Mancini, and for the German market, Peter Berghardt will be making posts in terms of how they see the criticality of information capture to increasing organizational intelligence and digital transformation. Of course, we'll be posting articles and short pieces in our ongoing social media activities. And there will be, moving in, moving through the future, an ongoing lead generation. So leads will come into us, and of course, we'll see in a moment how we can utilize lead generation activities from our side and social media posts. You can actually utilize those to fill the tops of your funnel as well. And of course, to round off, we also have the option of co-creation support. Should you come across a project that needs a bit more software development support, then you can get in touch with us for software documentation, even coding support on those projects for the Fujitsu solutions. And finally, of course, and we are all part of this, we have a great solution partner ecosystem here. So whether people need distributors, resellers, ISVs, or specific software developers, then we can make that happen. If you are struggling or you need recommendations, then get in touch with us. Again, we can find someone to be a solid part of an excellent solution. So in terms of where you'll find that online content, you can find the report. The articles will be posted, and other content such as the infographic. They will be posted on the Fujitsu.com organizational intelligence page. So you can go to the local language variants of this available in French, German, Italian, and Spanish, as well as the UK one. All you need to do, if it doesn't automatically redirect you there, then simply change the UK to the respective language code, which will be FR, DE, IT, or ES. Okay. In the imaging channel programmers course, we will be posting the content. You've got access to all the brochures, webinars, and the collateral. In fact, this webinar next week will be posted within the imaging channel program, so you can register and review it or share it with other people who are part of that program from there. If you haven't done so already, and I'm pretty sure most of us will be on here, have done, but it's free to register for the program. There's loads of useful collateral in there, including our incentive scheme, Imaging Rewards. And put simply, whenever you sell Fujitsu or ScanSnap scanner solutions, then you can log your sale within Imaging Rewards, and you'll gain points for each sale that you make and log, and at certain times of the year. But on an ongoing basis, there are always some products or activities that are bonused, so you get extra points for doing each one that you see highlighted on the imaging channel, on the Imaging Rewards page. And of course, once you accumulate points, you can go into our catalog and then spend them on a huge range, literally tens of thousands of goodies. They range from small things such as branded, collateral branded items, to, if you've amassed each points, you could even utilize them to pay for holidays or even renovation work. There's a lot of customizable options with the concierge service if you are selling that many scanners. So have a look in there. It's a great incentive system. In fact, it's an award-winning one over the last couple of years. So it's working well. We've had great feedback on it so far. And as we said, it's free to join and register the program, and free to register to participate in Imaging Rewards as well. So of course, how to use OI, organizational intelligence. We will be regularly posting on our social media feeds pieces from the research, items that we create, articles, insights, what other people are saying. You'll be able to see a lot of the articles posted on our two LinkedIn pages there. There's the PFU EMEA Limited LinkedIn page and the Fujitsu Image Scanners LinkedIn page, so please follow them. You can also follow us, our Twitter handles, utilize the ScanSnap nomenclature there. So on Twitter, it's ScanSnap UK or FR or DE or IT or ES. Please feel free to like, engage with, but also to reshare our content. And we're going to take a look in a moment of how to get best use out of not just organizational intelligence, but out of our social media posts, because this is free content for you guys to repurpose and utilize, even add your own comments or questions, and actually engage your direct audiences as well. So a few brief ways on how you can get the most out of organizational intelligence, apart from the bottom line here at the end there is knowing the story and the data that allows you to slice it and dice it to aid your context. The data and the narrative and the story within the report will help you to start conversations with end users. It'll help you to join in on conversations that may already be ongoing. It will allow you to position yourselves as a thought leader, demonstrate your insights, and establish your expertise. You can utilize it, as we'll see in a second, to prompt reactions, start discussions, but it also allows you to deliver free value up front. Send pieces of the report, snippets of it, key statistics, or even the full report itself. Excuse me. You can provide these up front for free to your audiences to show the types of insights and the types of understandings that you can bring to them, and help them understand that you get the challenges that they're going to be facing, and you have a clear understanding of where they may be beginning from in their journey. It makes it a lot more of a comfortable transition to working with somebody if they view you as an experienced expert already, of course. So these are just a few conversation starters that we found within the report. To be fair, the statistics and the graphs that you see and the graphics that you see in the report, they all have questions attached to them, of course. So feel free to use any of those questions to start or join conversations. But some of the questions you may want to utilize from the report include asking, what is your ultimate goal for digital transformation? What key operational benefits do you think you might see if you could organization your information more effectively? Have you ever thought about using industry expertise or getting external experts in, excuse me, to help align your digital transformation efforts with your business goals? That DX, by the way, is the Fujitsu, official Fujitsu abbreviation for digital transformation. And other questions include, are you taking an organizational intelligence approach to your digital transformation? This is quite an interesting question because it may well prompt the response of, I'm not sure what's digital transformation. Sorry, I'm not sure what's organizational intelligence. So if we do that, we're opening up, giving people insights into new ways of looking at their digital transformation that may actually simplify the bigger picture view, help them to create that strategic vision while also marrying it to the opportunity for information capture projects to help them get started in a relatively simple, low-risk way and see the benefits early on. But even if you're not face-to-face, you could make use of the findings in the report to create your own content. So whether you're posting on LinkedIn or Twitter, by using a simple formula, you can make use of the ready-made content. So, for example, you may simply want to use this formula, copy and paste a key statistic from the report, and then in the little comments that you get to add in most social media platforms, pose a question, offer a solution. You may even want to invite comments if you're looking to adopt a thought leadership position or stimulate discussion in a community. So you don't necessarily need to add a sales call to action for these. Just post the stat and post the question and see who wants to engage and discuss it and take the conversation from there. But as you can see on the right hand side, just two simple ways where take a stat, pose a question, and then put a call to action in there. It can be as simple as that. When you do this, if possible, if you can fit it in, please be sure to reference the report itself, or you may even, as we said, want to offer the report as a download. Okay. So in summary, to wrap all of this up, we've seen today that whether it's the possibilities offered by new technologies and ways of working, macro trends, or the race for profitability and good old competitive advantage, business opportunity is more often than not the thing that is driving digital transformation. We've also seen that many organizations are still struggling to manage the amount of data that they have, but those who are more confident, and Germany, I'm looking at you guys, they're probably more confident because they've placed more focus on digital transformation already. We've seen some of the challenges that organizations are facing, from lacking the required skills, product knowledge, or even the definition or knowledge of where to begin. And also, we've seen that most respondents engaged in digital transformation are happy to seek external expertise to help them with their knowledge gaps. We've also seen that the rapid operational improvements that information capture can deliver are a great trigger to get digital transformation started. And when married to that bigger picture that aligns with business objectives, they can provide fast results that add both momentum and lay solid foundations for a longer-term digital transformation journey. And with organizational intelligence, we've now got a new perspective on how an organization's information is captured, managed, and utilized. And this helps to bring together the need for our expertise in digital transformation efforts to ensure that not only are operational efficiencies made, but the way in which those solutions are deployed are fit for the purpose of building sustainable, strategic competitive advantage. So that pretty much concludes our webinar for today. Other than to remind you that in a moment, just let me trigger. Okay, I'm having a few issues with the giving you the handout here, but if you go to the Fujitsu URL on the Fujitsu.com for organizational intelligence, you will be able to get a copy. Failing that, you can always contact us. Oops, daisy. Go back to the slideshow. There we go. So yeah, let me try this one more time. Okay, it may be that you can already get that. If you go to open the little handouts tab on the right hand side, hopefully you can download the report from there. I don't think I can push it out to you, but that's okay. As I said, if you have any questions or you want us to send you a copy of the file, you can always email us at intelligence_report@uk.fujitsu.com. Simply send us that email and we'll put the wheels in motion for you. And of course, if you'd like to talk further about any of the things that you've seen today, whether that's business opportunities or anything else, then we'd be more than happy to hear from you. Best way of doing that is usually to get in touch with your local partner manager. But again, you can contact us via that email address at the bottom right-hand side, intelligencereport@uk.fujitsu.com. And with that, I'd like to thank you all for attending. You've been a fantastic audience. And I wish you every success in your digital transformation journeys. So with that, I'd like to end the webinar. Thank you. Take care, everybody, and see you at the next one. Goodbye.